Hello. In this video, I will be walking you through the renewal process. Some important notes before we begin. All registrants are required to renew their registration annually. This year's renewal period opened on February 14th and will be due on March 31st at 5 p.m. Eastern. Renewal involves submission of the online renewal form and payment of the registration renewal fee. Payment of the renewal fee is the last step of the process. And lastly, CRPO recently made updates to the registrant portal. As such, many of the pages should look familiar, but there may be some renewal information that you will be asked to recomplete this year. So let's begin. The renewal form is accessed in your CRPO user account. If it is your first time logging into your account since February 2025, you will need to reset your password. To do this, you would go to the login page, click Forgot Password here, and then enter your email address on the following screen and submit the request. Further instructions are available on the login page. Once you have logged into your account, you'll want to click on the Renewal tab. This will open the Renewal landing page, which contains basic information about renewal. You should see a button on the bottom left, which will take you to the renewal form. If you do not see this button, you may have outstanding fees past the invoice due date, which need to be paid in order to access the renewal form. Open invoices can be paid through the receipts page of your account. Please be aware that it may take up to 1 business day from the date of payment for the renewal to be made available to you. After clicking the button to access the renewal form, you'll be directed to the background page. This includes some information about the renewal form, as well as other registration-related information that may be helpful to review. Once you've reviewed the information, click Next to proceed to the next page. The next page is recent experience related to psychotherapy. This is similar to the currency page you would have seen in past years. This page specifically asks whether RP registrants have completed 750 currency hours in the past 3 years. The currency window for this year's renewal is January 1st, 2022 to December 31st, 2024. RP registrants must consider whether they have completed 750 hours of psychotherapy-related activities during that time period. Currency hours means time spent doing any of a broad range of professional activities related to psychotherapy. This includes direct client contact, but also includes other activities like professional development and engaging in clinical supervision, either as a supervisor or supervisee. If you have completed 750 currency hours, select Yes from the dropdown. For the purposes of renewal, you are just asked to confirm whether or not you have completed the hours. You do not need to provide documentary proof of currency unless specifically requested by CRPO staff. There's a second question here asking whether you provide clinical supervision to students or graduates intending to register with CRPO, RP qualifying, or RP registrants. Simply select yes or no depending on your situation. RP qualifying and RP inactive registrants are not required to report on currency, so these questions will not appear on the page for registrants that are in those categories. If you have not completed 750 currency hours, you would select no from the dropdown. Selecting this option will present additional questions on the page. You'll be asked to provide a breakdown of the hours you have completed between January 1st, 2022 to December 31st, 2024, and answer 3 questions regarding the hours that you have completed, the circumstances that have impacted your hours, and any upgrading that you plan to complete in order to upgrade your knowledge, skills, and experience in psychotherapy. Regardless of which option you select, once you've completed this page, click Next to proceed to the next page. The next few pages are on the health professions database questions. The information on these pages are required by the Ontario Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care. If needed, there's a PDF document with the drop-down menu options translated to French on the CRPO website. The questions on this page specifically are related to education outside the profession, bridging program completion, and education in the profession. All 3 of these sections must be complete in order to proceed. The top section of this page relates to education in a field other than psychotherapy. If you have completed a higher level of education in a field unrelated to psychotherapy, you would select yes to the first question. Additional questions will appear, which must be filled out in order to proceed. Please ensure that you are only reporting education that you have completed and was in a field unrelated to psychotherapy. If you are currently enrolled in a program, or did not fully complete a program, it should not be reported here. Similarly, if you have not completed a higher level of education in a field unrelated to psychotherapy, you would simply select No and scroll to the next section. The middle section of this page relates to bridging programs. Bridging programs help internationally educated individuals bridge the gap between their skills, education, and experience, and the registration requirements of regulators. If you have completed a bridging program, you would select Yes to this middle question. An additional question will appear, which must be filled out in order to proceed. Please ensure that you are only reporting bridging programs that you have completed. If you are currently enrolled in the program or did not fully complete the program, it should not be reported here. If you have not completed a bridging program, you would simply select No and scroll to the next section. The bottom section of this page relates to education in psychotherapy. If you have completed education in psychotherapy, you would select Yes to the question, and on the next page, you'll be asked to provide relevant details of your education in the profession. Only education programs that you have completed should be reported here. So if you are currently enrolled in the program or did not fully complete the program, you would select No. Once all three sections of this page have been completed, click Next to proceed to the next page. If you selected Yes to completing education in psychotherapy, you will be directed to a page where you can create entries for each psychotherapy program that you have completed. For this year's renewal, please fill out the information for every psychotherapy program you've completed, even if you reported it in previous years. To create an entry, you would simply click Add Education. The page to add education information will look like this to start. Depending on the country selected, additional fields may appear. So in this example, selecting Canada as the country results in an educational institutional drop-down field appearing. The educational institution drop-down field contains a list of institutions provided by the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care. All regulated health professions use the same list of institutions for these questions. The institution names are in alphabetical order. Note that some schools may have their name listed in French, so if you don't immediately see your institution name, you should check to see if it's listed in French instead. If you graduated from a private institution, your education institution is likely not listed. In this case, you would simply select Private Career College. If you graduated from an educational institution that's not listed and it's not a private career college, you should select none of the above. Once you have added an education program, it will appear in a table on the Add New page. If you made an error when creating the entry, you can make corrections by clicking Edit Entry to the left of the record. Make sure to add an entry for every psychotherapy program that you have completed. Once you have finished with the section, click Next to proceed to the next page. The next page of the renewal form relates to practice history and current employment. Please select the most appropriate option for each field. Depending on the responses selected, additional fields may appear, which must be filled out in order to proceed. Under current employment, if you confirm that you have practiced during the past year, you will be asked to complete the proportions section. The fields in this section represent a percentage of time in an average work week dedicated to each activity. Note that the total for all the boxes must be 100 since it's a percentage. An example of how to fill this out can be found on the Renewal FAQ on the CRPO website. Once you have confirmed that the information on this page is correct, click Next to proceed to the next page. The next page is Regulatory History. This page is for reporting any current registration, former registration, or registration refusals from any other statutory regulatory bodies. At the top of this page, you will see a table reflecting any information previously reported about current registration, past registration, or refusals from any other statutory regulatory body. If you have any changes to report to the existing information, please click Edit Entry on the respective record and provide the necessary information. For example, if your registration with another regulatory body has ended, or if you have a new finding of misconduct to report. The three questions at the bottom of the page ask whether there are any changes to your current or past registration with or refusals from any other statutory regulatory body. You would select Yes to the respective question if you are currently registered with another regulatory body and need to report this information to CRPO, or you were previously registered with another regulatory body and have not previously reported this information to CRPO, or you were refused registration with another regulatory body and have not reported this to CRPO. If there are no changes to the information in this section, you would select No to each question. Once you have finished with the section, click Next to proceed to the next page. This is an example of a case where regulatory history is reported. You can click Edit Entry to the left of the record to edit the entry and report any necessary changes. The next page is Professional Conduct. This page is for disclosing information on things like criminal offenses, criminal charges, professional negligence or misconduct, or any similar events or findings. If you need to disclose something new, select Yes and provide a written response in the provided text box. Each question has an optional document upload field. If you previously reported something in this section, either in your original application or in a past renewal, you do not need to report it again unless there are changes. Once you have finished with this section, click Next to proceed to the next page. The next page is Conditions and Accommodations. This page is for reporting any conditions that impact your ability to practice psychotherapy safely and to request accommodations for CRPO processes. If you need to report something for either of these questions, select Yes and fill out the applicable text boxes. Once you have finished with this section, click Next to proceed to the next page. This page is the declaration. You must read the declaration in its entirety, then tick the checkbox to confirm that you have read and agreed to the declaration. Once you have finished with this section, click Proceed to Payment to proceed to the renewal invoice. After the declaration, you'll be shown the renewal fees for your category of registration, as well as the applicable tax. In this example, this is an RP registration renewal and the applicable tax. To pay for this invoice, click Add to Cart. The page will reload and a new button will appear that you can click to take you to your cart. In your cart, you'll see the total amount required. Please select the appropriate payment option and fill out your payment information. At the bottom of the page, there will be a button to submit payment. Please ensure that you only click the button one time. As you may have seen on the website, CRPO accepts Visa, MasterCard, and Discover. Please note that other types of credit cards will not work. If your payment is submitted successfully, you will be directed to an order confirmation page. A copy of this order confirmation will also be sent to you by email. Once you've submitted your form and payment, your renewal status will change to payment pending, and the outcome will show awaiting payment. The system will take several minutes to process your payment. Once your payment is successfully processed, your renewal will be submitted. If you did not make any changes requiring staff review, the status will change to complete and the outcome will show approved as shown here. If you did make changes to your renewal form which requires staff review, the status will change to pending review and the outcome will show under review. As a reminder, it normally takes regulatory bodies several months to review renewals. If you have completed both items required for renewal and have received the order confirmation by email, you can continue to practice as usual while your renewal is being processed. To download a copy of your receipt, you must go to the Receipts page of your account, locate the receipt in question, and click Print Receipt. It may take several minutes to load, so do not refresh the page. Once the receipt loads, it will look something like this. There's a small icon below the word Export. Clicking that will open a small drop-down menu from which you click PDF. This will download a copy of the receipt as a PDF to your computer. You can then use this to save to your records, or you can print a copy separately. Briefly, there are some items that are not part of the renewal form. Personal information, such as your address and contact information, can be updated in the About Me page. Practice sites or clinical experience hours can be updated on the Practice Information page. Health information, custodian, successor information can be updated on the Successor Custodian page. Professional liability insurance information is not collected as part of renewal. CRPO regularly conducts insurance audits, and if you're selected for audit, you'll be notified by email. And lastly, the quality assurance program requirements like the self-assessment and attestation. The QA program is a separate college process that's not completed as part of renewal. That's it. Please remember that this year's renewal is due by 5 p.m. Eastern on Monday, March 31st. After this date, a late fee will be applied to any registrant who has not completed their renewal. If you encounter any issues with your renewal form, please see the renewal page of the CRPO website in case your question is answered there. If you require further assistance, please email info@crpo.ca.